10 minutes of the show, and I usually talk about the ugly. And this week I'm going to spare you all from talking about the ugly, although I will mention a couple quick sad things. Um, I guess Floyd Mayweather has been, I guess he pled guilty, and he will, I guess he's being sentenced to 90 days in jail for um, unfortunate domestic situation. And, you know, unfortunately, I know his legal problems way are much more important than his boxing career. But it's another sad tale of another guy who, you know, just simply just made a bad choice, and unfortunately, he's going to pay the price for it. Also, a big story this week, is I guess a bunch of NFL players are suing the NFL over these concussions. I guess a lot of former and retired players are complaining and filing lawsuits saying that the NFL was aware of um, concussions and the damages that concussions can do and did not give the players enough information. Of course, the NFL is disputing this and is basically challenging the legitimacy of these lawsuits. And, basically you're going to probably say that, you take a risk when you play a sport, and getting hurt, you get hurt. I don't know, a lot of you, my American viewers, I know you don't all follow European soccer and stuff, but there was a huge story coming out that I guess there's a couple European players. Uh, One guy, I guess John Terry, is being under investigation for, um, I guess he made a racial comment to a player on the field, and I guess he's about to, he's going to get suspended some games for obviously for saying what he said, but also he's under investigation by the law for making racial comments, I guess, to somebody in the field. Apparently, there's a player, I believe, on Barcelona, who just got suspended 8 games for making a racial comment to a gentleman on the field, an African American player. Both players were African American and made racial statements to, and the league suspended them for 8 games. I find it's crazy that you playing soccer and the game is competitive enough, and I guess you know trash talking. I guess when we trash talk, we don't go racial. I guess they go racial over there, and so even though I know a few weeks ago I mentioned that maybe their commissioner needs to step down for some of his insensitive racist comments, well, at least he did something in this matter that I think is making a lot of people happy, that he's trying to curtail the racism on the field. Now, I mentioned a minute ago that I was going to talk briefly about the rest of the teams in the NBA, and some of these teams I think are going to be contracting in the next few years. I think that, it's sad that we have, Orlando being owned by the NBA because they don't have any buyers right now buying this team. And I think that they are just a microcosm of a lot of other teams in this league that have financial problems. I mean, as basketball in Canada worked, I mean, Vancouver was there. They had a good following for a little bit. I mean, Toronto's had a good following, when they had Vince Carter and it was, Marcus Camby and David Stoudemire. But to be honest with you, I think a lot of people are going to start looking at moving a team from Toronto elsewhere. I think the same thing may go for somebody like Sacramento. I know last season, Sacramento was one of the teams that was petitioning the NBA to bring a third team to Los Angeles. There's a huge market out here, and I know fans would get behind the Los Angeles Kings, and this market can handle 3 teams. But the sad thing, if you look at the teams I didn't mention, I didn't talk about the Phoenixes, the Milwaukees, the Utahs, the Golden States, the Minnesotas, the Clevelands, the Detroits, Charlotte, and Washington. All those teams have one thing in common. They all have young players, and they don't have really great young players. I mean, Minnesota has Kevin Love, who a lot of people like because of his rebounding, and he's a UCLA guy, so we give him some props for playing. He's played great basketball, but is he a kind of player that's going to lead you to a championship? Cleveland just got Kyrie Irving. They had the number 1 and 4 pick in the draft. A lot of people think that, Cleveland, is going to take a few years before Cleveland is able to turn it around. New Jersey just got horrible news the other day that Brook Lopez is going to be out 6 to 8 weeks with a broken foot. I mean, that team, they're moving to Brooklyn next year to make New York have 2, basketball teams. I mean, they needed to make a splash, and the only splash from that team is that their president and owner is running for president of Russia. I mean, Charlotte, yeah, they got Kemba Walker, but so what? Who else? The Wizards signed John Wall last year. Yeah, they got a few exciting young players. Nick Young, I like. I like, the big guy inside, but John Wall has been oft injured yet in his first season. So, the NBA has got some serious issues when, they have about 12 teams that really are struggling and really need to find an identity. And, hopefully this season, I know it's only 66 games. Hopefully the fans will go out and see them play. I mean, I hear this season that a lot of teams are not going to get to see every team, which is really bizarre. And it hurts attendance and it hurts, a lot of things if you don't get to see the Heat or if you don't get to see the Lakers or the Clippers or the Knicks. And so cherish what you get to see and, enjoy basketball just for it being back. Obviously, in my opinion, the lockout did absolutely nothing. All it did was show that David Stern is in control. And basically, the players are still going to get great contracts. The owners are still going to make some money. And I truly believe you're going to see, I guarantee, I'm going to tell you, the next couple of years, you're going to see some less teams in this league because nobody's going to be going to Sacramento. Even though the Jimmer is there, and I love the way Jimmer plays, he's not going to be one to fill the seats. And we'll take our final commercial break for this hour show, talk about some NFL things, tell you my NBA prediction for the finals, and we'll do that on 89.7 KLAS-FM after this.
For all of your auto repairs, including expert collision work, LA Radiator on Santa Monica Boulevard is the place to go. Located just a few steps east of Vine, LA Radiator offers the fastest service with the lowest cost available anywhere in the area. Whether it's just a tune-up or a